Gay church ladies worship Nancy Pelosi. Hey, it's Prince of Queens, and one of the things I have brought up in numerous videos of mine, but I'm pretty confident I have never put in a video title, was the concept of the gay church lady, which basically defined is a gay male almost exclusively older than 35, but most commonly older than 45 or well into their 50s, that basically hasn't changed any of their political views about anything since sometime in the early 1990s, and is super quick to outrage about things they find homophobic, HIV-phobic, or generally politically incorrect. But before I get to that, I want to remind everybody that if you don't want to miss a video, you should hit the bell button next to the subscribe button and make for absolute certain to follow me on minds.com/Prince of Queens. And you can also tip me on PayPal, please do. So, about the video. If you're not a part of the rainbow alphabet soup that legitimately hangs out with gay men frequently, you probably won't have any understanding of just how many of these gay church ladies there are, just how completely uniform they are with their positions about seemingly everything, and just how persnickety and persistent they are when they are upset about something on the internet. It's pretty much exactly like this.
What?
On YouTube, the closest thing I can think of to a gay church lady is...
But the wall is silly too. The wall, I mean, for the sake of the things that people say it's supposed to be protecting us against. You know, it's not very effective in protecting us against, you know, the criminals, the actual criminals that are coming in. They're going to come in different ways. It's more of a symbol. It's not really going to do the job that they're claiming it's going to do. Sure, it will stop the stragglers from coming in. It'll stop the people who just want to come in and not cause any problem. You know, it'll stop them, but it's not going to stop the hard criminals. It's just strange how those two arguments for those types of things are rather...
Granted, I want to make it clear that I have no idea of what that guy, Kazum Fowler, thinks of Nancy Pelosi specifically, so I don't want to be misleading in that way. And I also want to make it explicitly clear that although Kazum very often sounds exactly like every other gay church lady when he recites his political opinions, he's also shown numerous times to be completely open to amending these opinions when he encounters new information or thinks about things in different ways. And he can also certainly have a civil conversation with somebody that he disagrees with or potentially disagrees with, which is way more than most gay church ladies. You see, full-blown gay church ladies do nothing of this sort, and unlike Kazum, they are almost unanimously feminists who blather on and on about the ways that gay men should be feminists who are inclusive to intersectional queer identities. Or some crap. Kind of like this guy, Jeff Lavelle, who wrote numerous articles for the super hip Vice magazine about how gay guys should be less masculine or something, despite the fact that, well, look at him. Anyhow, over the past few months especially, but even before that, I started to notice more and more commonly that these usually completely insufferable guys all coincidentally were expressing how much they love Nancy Pelosi in a similar way to how they all coincidentally love RuPaul's Drag Race, Grace Jones, and Madonna's albums from the 1980s and 1990s. However, although I vaguely knew who Nancy Pelosi was, due to my 10-year break from ever deliberately thinking about politics that ended in 2015, I didn't really remember seeing Nancy Pelosi ever really speak on camera until the pre-government shutdown negotiations happened and hashtag Team Nancy started trending on social media. Because, of course, the gay church ladies, who I still know a few hundred of on Facebook, are always on the team of some female or drag queen celebrity.
Yeah. Let's call a halt to this. We've come in here as the first branch of government, Article 1, the legislative branch. We're coming in good faith to negotiate with you about how we can keep the government open.
We're going to keep it open if we have border security. If we don't have border security, Chuck,
I'm with you.
we're not going to keep it open.
I'm with you. We are going to have border security.
And it's the same work. You're bragging about what has been done. We want to do the same thing we did last year, this year. That's our proposal. If it's good then, it's good now, and it won't shut down the government.
Chuck, we can build a
But that's
much
it.
bigger section
Let's
with
debate.
more money.
Let's debate in private. Okay?
Yeah.
Let's debate in private.
That is devoid, frankly, of fact, and we can.
We need
dispel
border
that.
security. I think we all agree that we need border security.
Yes.
Is that right? Good.
We do.
See? We get along. Thank you, everybody.
This hashtag Team Nancy thing actually got me thinking about what is best described as diva worship within the gay community, and how ironic it is that the very same gay church ladies, which remember is most gay men over 40, all swear they are feminists, but of course they almost exclusively hang out with other gay men, and together they cheer for basically any woman that they can even vaguely decide is fabulous. But of course, true believer feminists spit on that seemingly unconditional love and admiration coming from these clueless gay men, claiming that these guys are horrible patriarchal sexists for not hanging out with enough women. And of course, feminists also invent completely fictitious rumors like that these gay men actually secretly grope women frequently every time women come around, instead of what gay men really obviously do, even on a person-to-person basis, which is worship women, even if they don't deserve it, like Nancy Pelosi. For example, this clip came from a Facebook page called Divas of Democracy that glorified the following statement with a caption on the posting that said, "Oh snap." And of course, we can assume that page has a very large amount of gay men following it.
Few days, many federal workers will not be receiving their paychecks, and what that means in their lives is tragic in terms of their credit rating, paying their mortgage, paying their rent, paying their car payment, paying their children's tuition, and the rest. The president seems to be insensitive to that. He thinks maybe they could just ask their father for more money, but they can't. And we think that the collateral damage that he is causing well, I'm going to yield to the leader to talk about that, but I would say this. If you don't understand financial insecurity, then you would have a policy that takes pride in saying, I'm going to keep government shut down for months or years, unless you totally agree to my position. I yield to the leader.
Yes! Work! Slay queen! You dished the tea, girl! Wait, like, is that all she said? Sorry, not sorry, but I'm personally a bit underwhelmed about a wealthy career politician who was every bit as complicit in the shutting down of the government as Trump, whose father was already a congressman by the time she was born, almost 79 years ago, shaming people for not understanding what it's like to be poor. But that's the thing. Gay church ladies don't care about logic and reason every bit as much as upper middle class feminists don't. They don't have the faintest concern for seemingly anything besides what is trending on their own personal Facebook timeline, aka the gay church lady echo chamber, because obviously gay church ladies have fairly uniform politics. It's not simply orange man bad, but much more primordial. For the gay church ladies, it's basically Republican man bad, and of course, Democratic woman perfect. It was these same gay church ladies who relentlessly promoted Hillary Clinton and often have had the audacity to continue blaming quote-unquote Bernie bros for her loss, probably up to this day. So it came as no surprise when I started seeing more and more tragic leftist memes made to celebrate their gay political icon, Nancy Golden Girl Pelosi. There were a number of them, really, and obviously none of them were clever because the left can't meme, which everybody knows. So after a while, I started having to really wonder why exactly the gay church ladies love her so much in particular. I found this one particularly tragic as it's congratulating her on her complete and utter stubbornness in not making it more difficult to cross our southern border illegally. Gee, it really makes you wonder about what the companies that work with Democrats in California do with all of those illegals. And of course, this photo was shared a lot, claiming she invented the art of condescending applause? You sure that it's not just that her face doesn't move a whole bunch after all that Botox and all of those facelifts? Granted, these are the same types of guys that often call Maxine Waters auntie. No joke, as even though they are mostly white, she is a strong black woman that doesn't take no ish, and gay church ladies love that, even though Maxine Waters obviously needs to simmer down before she destroys her own party. But anyhow, what's to like about Nancy Pelosi? Seriously, I was confused. Is it just that due to the obvious cosmetic surgery, she looks really good for an almost 79-year-old woman who must have lived a somewhat stressful life, who happens to have a seat in California, where about 50% of our nation's gay men also reside? Or is there something more? Finally, I found this article, and it became way too clear. You see, Nancy Pelosi was one of the first people in all of Washington, D.C. to mention the AIDS crisis, which she did in 1987 when she was speaking on the House floor for the very first time. Apparently, at the time it was considered a shocking and controversial move as a newly elected politician, and the people who would grow up to become gay church ladies as they aged have worshipped her ever since. The article went on to describe a recent gay Christmas tree lighting event in her honor or something. You see, here's the thing about gay church ladies that I honestly think is the defining characteristic within them. All of their political beliefs, and I do say beliefs because they are core worldview shaping beliefs and not their mere opinions, virtually all of the political beliefs of the gay church ladies come from the AIDS crisis and the way Republican and Democratic politicians handled relations to the gay community during that time. Seriously, I would estimate that by itself is over 90% of what these people care about. To these guys, Ronald Reagan was often thought of as akin to gay Satan, and Nancy Reagan was maybe considered even worse, due to the fact that they were a Hollywood couple that people knew for a fact had gay friends that they didn't help, like Rock Hudson, who died of AIDS in 1985. And technically, more people died during Bush Sr.'s presidency by a considerable amount, so the hate for Republicans runs deep. Being that gay church ladies are generally older than 45 and usually in their 50s or so, they are people that remember all of this stuff very well. They remember the way the religious right grew during the Reagan era, and the way that instead of being helped by the federal government when they needed it most, they were demonized as degenerate sinners and all of that stuff. The dramatic majority of gay men in their 50s knew numerous gay guys that died of AIDS, and being that I've known a number of the cool ones that I wouldn't call gay church ladies, I can assure you that even those ones speak about those times in that strange sort of way that might be similar to the way somebody's grandfather described World War II or Vietnam or something. You know how when they explain it, their entire mood changes for a moment while they try to communicate something to you that is literally impossible to communicate, and then they give up and change the subject? Truthfully, I absolutely cannot blame gay men over 40 for being very non-trusting and completely wary of the gay male embracing Trump version of the Republican Party. In fact, as far as I know, the only gay man who's been in the public eye who is in that age range that I can even think of who openly supports Trump is Peter Thiel, founder of PayPal, who gets the Prince of Queens stamp of genius as a result of his Rubin Report interview. But here's the thing. Being a gay church lady is not irreconcilably attached to one's age, because I can assure you, I'm in my mid-late 30s, and I've encountered people who I think would be safe to call gay church ladies that are younger than I am by a significant amount. Being a gay church lady is a mentality. It is the product of living in an echo chamber of gay culture that answers mainly to the gay media mafia, which of course is run at the top by gay guys over 40 and usually in their 50s, and gay nonprofits and charities, which were almost exclusively built during the AIDS crisis. You see, the odd thing about being a gay male that you learn slowly over time is that the only time people ever really gave a crap about us was right after the AIDS crisis was well underway, and straight people helped create gay charities that became an actual industry connected to the Democratic Party, which haven't gone away. Once upon a time, that industry used to be about finding healthcare for AIDS patients when hospitals often wouldn't take them in and preventing the spread of HIV. Whereas now, being that the gay nonprofits are 100% tied up with the Democratic Party, the HIV charity platform has changed to healthcare for all so that everybody can have PrEP for unprotected sex because reasons. Obviously, it would be a dramatic understatement to say anything less than that the gay church ladies have massively lost perspective and are out of touch with the current day, and I honestly, sincerely have no idea what exactly it might take to snap them out of their fury of this iteration of Republican man bad, because at least with George W. Bush it made sense, as he threatened to ban gay marriage permanently, while Trump has done everything he can to suck up to us, and he's seemingly even more hated. However, the honest truth is that as the Prince of all queens, being that I've dated more than one guy in the aforementioned age range, one of whom I'm still friends with on Facebook, who is honestly a bit of a gay church lady now, I have to admit that at the end of my thoughts about all of this, I do have compassion for these gay men. These aren't inherently bad people. However, I definitely do want these guys to know. One of the last mother effing people in Washington who might care in any meaningful way about the current age range of gay guys who are most likely to suffer from drug addiction and a possible upcoming gay plague would be Nancy Pelosi, as while she might be in touch with a few gay church ladies who organize Christmas tree parties for her, she is completely out of touch with the younger gay men who are a lot more likely to be fans of Alexandria Cortez anyway. Nobody has any idea if a new lethal STD is incubating with all of the unprotected sex gay guys are having these days, usually as a result of hookup applications, but also at bathhouses, often with a lot of crystal meth mixed into it. And if once upon a time Nancy Pelosi would have cared about this contemporary crisis, she certainly doesn't seem to give a crap now. And now that I think about it, most gay church ladies don't either, and deny the fact that there might be a crisis at all.